Guys, I messed up. I set some really unrealistic expectations for myself, and instead of following through on them, even though like maybe I could have, I tanked. I just couldn't do it. Hi everyone, if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Jem, and I like to talk about my life with BPD and what that looks like on a day-to-day basis, especially right now, as it pertains to the new year, what my experience has been within that. Because I definitely set some like expectations for myself that were slightly unrealistic. I really wanted to do the 75 hard. I'm really trying to get back into my fitness journey, which is something that's really important to me. A girl like me hasn't been doing so well with it, simply because I set my expectations way too high. I don't know if any of you guys are like this, but when I set my expectations a little bit too high and I don't perform well, I just I kind of crash out on myself. I just start to think that like maybe I wasn't supposed to do any of it and I gotta take a break and I just gotta stop. But this time around, instead of letting this like carry over into a long-term thing where I'm just like,
oh, I don't want to do this, or like maybe I'm not supposed to do this,
or like just being really hard on myself over a long period of time, I'm trying to reel that in and kind of address it a lot sooner. Sometimes moments like this can carry on for like a long period of time and I really fall off track. I don't want to do that right now. So full transparency moment now. These are the areas that I fell short on. And I think it's important to talk about these things because we're human, and maybe you've been through something similar where you kind of fell off of something and you were really hard on yourself and it was just kind of challenging to get back into it. But there's hope. Give yourself like 2 days max. Reel it in. Okay? I was uploading more long form content on here twice a week. I was doing one vlog and one yap, as I like to call these. And I haven't uploaded anything in a few weeks. I've been really consistent with my shorts, but my long form content has kind of suffered because I feel like it kind of hit a lull. Both like creatively and just like trying to find my focus over the last couple weeks. So mentally and creatively, everything's been on pause because I needed this moment to just kind of refresh and step back into it. Definitely fell short on my content, which I didn't like, and usually my lulls in content like that might be like a couple months where I'm like, oh, I don't know, this is for me, let me just stop. This time I'm like, absolutely not, I'm here, I'm back. So I think that's like a major difference. And I think like when it comes to anything, sometimes like we can just fall off, even if it's just like eating healthy, for example, and you have a craving, because that's life. You're human, you're going to crave things, and that's okay. And maybe having that craving kind of set you back, but it's like, okay, you have that craving, you indulge in it, but it doesn't have to become a habit. And I think that's the important thing, is like having the discipline to pull yourself back out of it. And that's where I'm at with my content, because I really want to reach a certain audience of queer, BIPOC, neurodivergent people. Somehow make a support group on here where we support each other, because life be lifing. I came back. My cats were trying to get in my room. My bird's in my room. I can't have them eating mango. Mango's my bird's name. I think knowing that I'm intentionally trying to show up on social media for the sake of creating a community to support other people helps me to kind of stay consistent and pull myself out of it, because I'm like, okay, this isn't just something that I want to do for me anymore. I think that there's value in creating connections and creating community online, especially when it comes to like certain subjects like mental health and the queer community, and just like that lived experience and the intersectionalities between being a woman of color who's queer and lives with BPD. There's someone out there that can relate and will see my content, and may give them a sense of like belonging, or a sense of not being alone, and community. I think that's really important to me. I think that's part of the reason why I'm pushing myself to dig out of it. Number 2, Another thing I set my expectations way too high for was completing the 75 hard. I have not been like consistently in the gym lifting for several months. One, I think it was unrealistic, and two, irresponsible of me to assume that my body would be able to perform the 75 hard, given that I'm still upping my iron levels. I'm also kind of recovering from burnout that I experienced due to some experiences I had in 2023 and 2024. So I think it was really irresponsible and unrealistic of myself to think that I could just jump into this when I still have some days that I'm like really tired, some days that I have zero motivation, some days that my mental is not fully clear in terms of like how I show up for myself. So I think that was setting myself up for failure. And I think I've kind of shifted now into doing the 75 medium, which I feel like you can create your own terms. I think at some point I do want to complete the 75 hard, but right now I need to start with where I'm at, and completing 2 workouts a day, 2 45-minute workouts a day, is really challenging, especially because it's like, oh, one of your workouts should be outside. Well, I live in Canada and it's been like -10 where I'm at, and like it's like getting up in the morning just to complete one workout is challenging enough when it's so cold outside, and leaving my house to go to the gym is like a struggle within itself. So it's like, okay, maybe I can just dial that back a little bit, complete 1 workout per day, because all the other areas of the 75 hard, I don't think I really struggle with in terms of drinking the water, sticking to a diet, and also reading the 10 pages per day and taking the picture of myself every day. Like those things I don't really struggle with, but it's more so the workout right now. And also, did I mention I've been having knee problems? So it's like, I'm not making excuses for myself. I think I'm making a smart decision and a smart goal, which I think this is obtainable. I can work out once per day for the next 75 days. I can avoid alcohol. I can do all of those things. But the 2 workouts per day is challenging when I would like my second workout to be a walk outside. I think this is something that in the springtime, it'll be better suited for me to like tackle. Right now, when it's this cold outside, my knees hurt and some days are a struggle. I think it's not a smart goal for myself right now. And that's okay. I'll get to a point where it makes sense. But right now it doesn't. And something as simple as like picking out my clothes and like, because like I'm at home majority of the time, work from home, I think that like I've kind of fallen into this pattern of like waking up and just like putting on house clothes. And if you don't know what house clothes are, the best way I can explain it is like sweatpants, pajamas, just like chill attire, not really getting ready for the day and just kind of like throwing on whatever you can grab. And so this past weekend, I actually like reorganized our whole closet. I cleared space in my one drawer to be able to pick out my workout clothes for the entire week and place them in there. And then I have my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday outfits picked out, and then I'll pick out the rest of the week because the weather can kind of fluctuate and I want to just make sure that I'm prepared for the weather, and I dress appropriately if I have to leave the house. I'm just trying to make sense of that and get back into like a pattern of, okay, like I'm taking care of myself, and what that looks like. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's been struggling with that. I think like this whole like new year, new me thing is kind of misaligned for me specifically in certain ways. I just don't feel like it's the new year. I feel like living in a place where it gets so cold in the winter, I'm pretty certain I'm supposed to live in a place that is relatively warm all year round. And I think I would thrive in an environment like that, but I don't live in that environment. So it's just like, it doesn't feel like I should be pushing myself to my limits right now. It feels like I should be resting and resetting. And so in some aspects, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I also have goals. So I need to push myself in some ways. This video is just me being transparent about where I'm at and how the heck I'm gonna get through it. Because I think sometimes it's like when you're in a rut, it's hard to think of like, how am I going to get through it? Especially if you have BPD or experience anxiety or depression. It's like when you're in that and like it's kind of like taking the driver's seat when it comes to your brain's ability to like regulate your emotions and just process the things that make sense. It's like the logical side and the emotional side of the brain aren't really like meeting, right? That bridge between the two is kind of like it's closed. And you're really just like in the emotional side. I think it can be really challenging to just like to see your way out of it, to find a solution and to break it down into steps that require less like brain power and just make it feel like it flows better. That's where I'm at. Don't think that if you're not killing your New Year's resolution goals currently, that you can't restart. You can restart at any point. It doesn't have to be on January 1st and you push through it and wow, I did it for the entire year. You can start on January 15th. You can start February 12th. You can start in March. It doesn't matter when you start or restart. It's just as long as you take the action to do it when you feel ready. And I think that that's the most important thing. You're on your own timeline, and just because it's a new year does not mean that it's the right space or place for you to push yourself. Be kind to yourself and give yourself the grace of being human. Everyone at some point has a goal and they are working towards it, and then life happens, be that external or internal factors that kind of throw us off, and it's okay. So I just want to make sure you guys know where I'm at, because if any of you are experiencing the same thing, you're not alone. And so I restarted the 75 medium today. So what that looks like for me is one workout per day. It's like not like time specific. I think 30 minutes is my minimum. I want to get 6,000 steps in per day. I'm going to be drinking 1 gallon of water per day, reading 10 pages a day. No alcohol, sticking to a diet. I could be forgetting something, but that's like the basis of what it is for me. And I think it's really important for me to make sure that like I get dressed and to put intention into my outfits in the morning, because I do like putting some intention into the way that I look. Even though it might not be like, she's a fashion queen. I like dressing how I want to dress, and I like being comfy, and I like looking cute for me and my girlfriend. Anyways, if you found any value in anything that I said, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're at with your goals. Have you had to do like a little step back and reset? And reminder, it's okay if you did.